What? A handgun. Personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a dam? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. What? One automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Good? Yeah, good.
You're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like you Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jack booty cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. Revolution's not clear, you gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clear, you gotta drag them through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PrimerTime Live. My name is Michael, and I am here tonight with Jimmy Funky. Dan is on special assignment. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing good. Hammy, how you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Missed last week. Life gets in the way. Sorry about that. But glad to be back. Any 22 long rifle available on your side?
I haven't actually checked for any 22 long rifle, although I did listen to a couple of fellas. I was listening on my AM radio the other night, just kind of shooting the shit with some people here locally. And they're saying that the ammo situation has turned the corner here in Arkansas. You can pretty much get whatever you're looking for wherever you go. So, and in this little town that I'm in, man, there's as many gun stores as there is bars. So it's all good around here. I haven't really had the need. I mean, when I came down here, I had a couple of 500 round boxes, so I haven't really had the need to go, only do a little bit of plinking every now and again.
I've seen here that it looks like it's on its way back. I have seen the crazy prices, but I've also seen the big box regular price that appears to be about 15% more than what it was in late 2012.
Right. Everything's going up. Even guns are still going up. I mean, you can't get them for what you could 2 years ago.
I think so. I will say that the price of the Evil Black Rifle has kind of leveled out, and it looks like you can get into one for about $550 for an entry-level mil-spec AR-15.
Yeah, like a DPMS.
Right. Yeah. You can even get into one a little bit cheaper if you were to go to
build
something that was more like a build your own. I think Palmetto State Armory right now has one for you assemble it yourself. They send you everything you need, and it's $379 right now. So
that's you get what you pay for.
That's right. You're not going to get a combat rifle out of that.
You'll get one that might be able to whack a deer, or on occasion. Well, maybe not with a 223, but that's. I mean, my dad taught me that when I was younger. Get what you pay for. Don't ever scoff at paying a little bit more for something, because it's going to last you a little longer. Buy quality. You don't have to buy it 5 or 6 times.
That's right. Yeah, buy one, spry one.
And that's the way you are with all your firearms, yeah? I mean, you don't go for any of the cheap stuff. You do your background, do your checking out, and...
I can't say that I don't have any of the cheap stuff, but some of the cheap...
But if you bought it, you knew you were buying something cheap, right? I mean, you didn't get...
Right, that's right. I never mistook a a Snake Charmer 410 for a H&K rifle by any means. No. There are uses for the $119 shotgun, just like there's uses for the $2,500 shotgun or the $2,500 rifle. I operate more towards the $119 shotgun area. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if it's coming to something like home defense, you're not going to trust your family to a $119 shotgun, are you?
It depends. If it's that or it's a sharp stick, yeah, I'll take the shotgun.
Well, and also, answer me this too. I mean, I'm not really I'm not a gunsmith or anything. I've kind of tinkered with guns, and I've built two, I think, from scratch. But I'm not a gunsmith by any means. But you can take a $200 gun and make it into something that's, I mean, extremely reliable. With a little bit of, finesse in here and a little bit of TLC there, you can actually turn it into a really fine firearm, yeah?
I would agree with you. You'd see that more, I think, in the 1911s, which are semi-automatic pistols from the Philippines. You see a lot of things from ATI and Arms Corps. Those are very, very good quality, standard quality 1911s, and some people think that they're not up to par, but those are the people that like to, change the tires out on their truck as soon as they get it. And you can massage the internals and, replace this and that, and come up with a pistol that costs in the same neighborhood as a Kimber. But if you wanted that, you shouldn't have bought the ATI pistol in the first place.
Well, when it comes to something like, I mean, if you're going out to find a weapon that suits you, that fits your hand, that you like, that you're comfortable with, that's got the proper weight for you, something like if you're looking for something that's going to be a concealed carry weapon that you're going to carry all the time, and you find something that fits you well, but it's got a stiff trigger on it or something like that, that kind of stuff you can work with. Like, especially if you're buying it brand new and you're buying it from a gun dealer. You can tell them, hey, the trigger's a little stiff. Can you lessen the poundage up on it? Can you, shave a little bit of here? This, you can do that kind of thing.
That can be done with certain pistols. Certain pistols have an inherent heavy trigger that can't be remedied. One of those, I would say, is the Smith & Wesson SW9VE series, their Value Edition. Those have a tendency to not be able to be easily adjusted as, say, a Glock. There's just not as many aftermarket parts for them. Generally, you're going to find with the cheaper quality, lower cost pistols, the upgrades are not going to be commensurate with what you get. You can't take a $200 Jennings 9mm and try to make it run like a Beretta.
No,
that won't happen. It won't happen.
You can't work miracles, but you can make a really rough gun smoother.
That's right. You could take one of the $200 Chinese shotguns, which are just copies of the Remington 870, and you can make it run as reliable or better than a Remington 870, which is pretty tough to do, but to become more reliable than an 870.
Now, all the talking you've been doing with Hal and stuff, have you ever gotten into loading your own ammo?
I've not loaded anything other than I have made my own wax shells and my own hot glue shells for 12 gauge, and I have popped primers out of 38s, and then I have a 38 bullet mold that I make hot glue bullets out of. So what I'll do is I'll change primers, and then I shove a hot glue bullet into the case, and that's kind of like good for in the garage.
Just target practice plinking around.
Yeah, just with a hot glue bullet and a primer.
Now, have you ever been out to the range with somebody that loads their own and fired their ammunition versus straight out of the box?
I don't like doing that a whole lot anymore. I used to do that quite a bit. I used to buy a lot of reloads when I was younger.
Ever had any foul on you?
I've had, I've been lucky. I've never had anything that had too much pressure that was, double loaded or anything like that. I've never had any squib from it, but I have had bullets that just didn't fire. poor primers, poor powder, whatever it was, but the bullet didn't fire. And it's, I guess if you were to load your own, it's a completely different story than buying somebody else's reloads. I would suggest that you do not buy anybody else's reloads.
Now, by a squib, what do you mean by a squib?
A squib would be an underpowered bullet. It would be a bullet that didn't have enough pressure.
Make it out of the round, to make it out of the barrel?
That's right, and it gets stuck halfway in the barrel. And that's a fairly dangerous situation, especially in a revolver. In a semi-automatic, usually, a squib will alert you because there's going to be a problem with chambering the next round. There wouldn't be enough pressure to kick the bullet out or to pick up the next round. But in a revolver, you don't know. All you'll hear is just a different report than you're used to hearing. And
right, you won't see the muzzle flash. You won't, if you're paying attention to what you're doing, you should know the one lodged.
That's right. And the danger is if you don't and you fire another one, you've got a really good chance of bulging your barrel, which is a complete barrel replacement, or having the thing explode in your face.
Which is complete hospital.
Yeah,
hospital run.
I've seen some ugly pictures of that, and I don't want to have anything to do with that.
You ever seen it happen to anybody on a range?
I've never seen it happen, but I've seen the results of it in a Ruger Blackhawk, and I was fairly impressed that the Blackhawk, it did have a bulge in the barrel, but there was no other problems anywhere.
But that gun's completely unfireable. I mean, you got to swap the barrel out.
To be safe, you would have to swap the barrel out. As far as I know, that the guy who did that is still shooting it. He was completely convinced that it did not have a squib round, or I don't know if he was convinced or that was the story he was peddling, but that it did not have a squib round. That the bulge in the barrel was caused by excessive lubricant in the barrel, and the bullet kind of jumped over the lubricant and created this pressure that the barrel out.
Did he take physics in high school?
No.
Oh, okay, just checking.
No, that's not his forte.
Yeah, that's just checking. Now, with a bulged barrel, and now if it's in a rifled gun, then at a certain point, if he keeps firing that weapon, that round is going to either hyperspin and catch the grooving, the lands and grooves at a different spot on the bullet, right? Right. If there's a bulge in that barrel, there's going to be a section of that barrel where the bullet's not touching.
That's right. And you'll have, at the minimum, you'll have decreased accuracy because your initial spin is interrupted.
Well, but when the bullet lands, isn't there a chance of that bullet lodging in the barrel again because it's trying to pick up a different set of lands and groove? Not a different set, but you know what I mean?
It's trying to carve a new area.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
I don't know about that. I really don't know.
What kind of gun was it? How big of
it was? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things I think that would qualify that statement. This was a Ruger Blackhawk in 357, and it had a bulged barrel. The problem with the Blackhawk is it's fairly designed, and it's not readily adaptable to a whole bunch of changing. It's not something that you can just go out and buy new barrels willy-nilly and swap it out.
No, my single six, you can't change the barrel on. It's all one.
No, it's all one piece on some of them. You can't change out the barrel on a Ruger Blackhawk, but the barrel costs 2/3 of the price of a new pistol.
Yeah.
So at some point it's just not cost effective.
But would you fire a gun with a bulge barrel?
It would depend on what it was. I think I would probably take the risk and fire that Blackhawk. I don't think I would fire a Taurus revolver with a bulged barrel.
That's 357, man. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That just makes me nervous, because
it's not something I'd search out and do for fun.
Well, you change the molecular structure in that barrel when it bulged. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've squished metal around in ways that it's not meant to be squished.
Right, and it's trying to take the same pressure every time you fire that gun. Eventually, it's going to fail on him. I'm telling you right now. At least that's what I believe.
I believe it will as well, and I did not buy the pistol.
Oh, he tried to sell it to you?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I got the good story on how the over-lubricated barrel caused increased pressures, which resulted in, fairly thick, what is that? It's probably 3/8 inch thick through the barrel. Caused that to...
What did he tell you? It's just a little bulge. Don't worry about it.
That's about what he said. Has he tried to sell you something as well?
No, I'm just guessing. Used car salesman with a gun. Yeah, that's what I hear.
He's a used boat engine salesman.
There you go.
It's only got 4,000 hours on it, man.
It's a Yamaha. I can do it.
That's right. It's a 4-stroke.
Yeah, it's you have to be aware of what you're buying. Usually in the firearms world, if it appears to be too good to be true, it definitely is too good to be true. Firearms are an item of value, and people usually know exactly what they're worth.
Let me quiz you on, what was it? A Marlin Scout.
Okay.
4570, I think, is what he fired. It was a Marlin Scout rifle. Little short barrel on it, lever action. Watched the video. Hickok 45 had it. Fell in love with the rifle as soon as I saw it laying on the table.
They are gorgeous rifles. A box of 4570 is going to be 20 rounds, and that's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50.
Yeah, they're about $2 around. He said to fire, but man, just a beautiful, beautiful gun. Only holds 4 rounds with the Scout style rifle because it's got the shorter barrel.
Yeah, but they're 4 rounds that are like 70 millimeters long. They're huge.
Yeah, they're big.
It's like firing like little magic markers out of it. It's those bullets are pretty good size. I like the lever action design. It's fairly reliable, easy to use, easy to teach somebody. Positive safety with it, and it's fairly forgiving of ammunition.
With the tube magazine, you're going to shoot a stub nose bullet. That's the only. I mean, it's got a little less accuracy than a bolt action gun that's going to have a pointed round. But and
you're also going to find that usually for the calibers that rifle is in, 45-70, 357 Magnum, 44, 45 Long Colt. Usually the bullets are always going to be a round, flat pointed bullet. There's nobody that really makes a Spitzer point bullet for.
Hornady does, but
they do, but it's got a rubber tip.
Yeah,
and it's got a rubber tip. They call theirs Lever Revolution.
Yep.
And I've actually got a box of those in 357, and
they're quite a bit more expensive than the regular 4570s too.
That's right.
The Lever Revolutions are about $4 a round versus $2.
And in 357, they come to be high premium. I would say they're close to $1.50 a round. A box of 20 will run you $30 to $35.
Yeah.
I will say for people who wish to go out and take a look at this ammunition, it does not work well in pistols. And that's not to say that it doesn't function well, it just doesn't open up. It's got a unique design to all point with a polymer tip to aid in the expansion, and it does not like to open up out of a 2-inch or a 4-inch barrel.
Really?
Right. It pretty much enjoys a flat-pointed bullet that probably moves it at about 900 feet per second, and that Lever Revolution, I think, needs to move at about 1,100 feet per second, and it just doesn't get that out of a pistol. It will do it out of a rifle.
Right. More power.
Out of a rifle, it's beautiful, beautiful expansion, and it burns all the powder on the way out.
The one thing that Hickok said about that Lever Revolution, though, is that the brass is different size than a regular 4570. So if you're into reloading and stuff, you're either going to wind up trashing that brass because you can't put a regular 4570 round in it. You won't be able to reload it with lead. Or, I don't know, maybe you have to buy Hornady bullets to put back in it. But I
wasn't aware of the brass being different sized.
Yeah,
it's super expensive.
Yeah, from the standard 45-70, he held them up to the camera, and the brass casing was almost about probably an eighth of an inch shorter than the regular 45-70 rounds. So he wasn't too happy with that because he does all of his reloading. I mean, he's big into that too. So.
Well, there's a large investment in ammunition, and especially if you've gone to the reloading section, and you like to get every bit that your dollar buys.
Right, and especially when it comes to big rounds like that. You know, if you're that's where you really make your money when you reload. Because those big rounds are expensive, off-brand round, or not off-brand, but off-caliber rounds that people don't buy a whole shitload of. That's where you get
things that would almost be considered an obsolete round or something that's still available on the shelf.
Right.
I will say I had to help a friend of mine find a box of 41 long bullets, and that took a little bit of hunting to find, and it turned out to be $62 for a box of 20.
Yikes. Yeah, see, that's expensive. That's expensive plinking. You gotta, I mean, that's not plinking rounds. Those are, we're gonna go out and take down an elk round or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and the pistol is no longer made. It's an older Smith & Wesson in 41 Magnum. And, 41 Long Colt. And it took a while to find it, and that's just, it was his grandfather's. He didn't have any ammunition for it, and he thought that he should have a box for it. And 63. So I don't think he's probably not gonna shoot but 6 rounds out of it.
Yeah,
maybe 5.
And then go find a bullet mold and start saving the brass.
I'll tell you what, if you can find one, I got my 38 caliber bullet mold fairly cheap. It was $9. They're not always that cheap. Mine was used. I did get it at a gun show, and so kind of you have to know what you're looking for.
A 41 will take that. I mean, that's the same size brass, just a little longer casing.
Well, I used the 38 bullet mold with actual 38 special bullets, and I did get a primer puller, which is a little device you put your brass in there and squeeze it, and it pops the primer out.
Right.
And then you can set a primer right in with the using the other side of it.
Right.
And so I just prime it, no powder in it, and I've just been squishing a bullet in there and and firing it. No resizing or anything like that.
No powder at all, huh? Just primer out the gun?
Just primer. And I've not had.
And you're making bullets out of wax, you said?
I'm making them out of hot glue.
Hot glue.
So I get the hot glue gun, and then I lock up the bullet mold, and I just squirt it right in. And let it set, and it takes a good whack to pop it open, and I've got 4 bullets, with a couple squirts of hot glue.
That's pretty cool. Now, what are you shooting at in your garage? Just paper target?
Wood, paper, the wall, whatever. A scorpion if it runs across, whatever I can find them to pop at it in the garage. The trash can. I try not to shoot at lights.
Or neighbors' kids or dogs.
Yeah, no. It's usually kept done with the door closed. From outside, no, it's about
like a cap gun.
It sounds louder inside. Outside, it just sounds like somebody's hitting something with a hammer.
Right.
There's across the street, you can barely hear it. I don't think I'm going to get in any kind of trouble. So that's something I advertise that I'm doing, but.
Okay, one other question now. When you go to run a rag down your barrel, is it leaving any residue in the barrel?
Absolutely not.
Nothing, huh? Just clean as a whistle.
The hot glue appears to pick up everything that it takes out, or that was in there. It's very clean. I will say that the cylinders are a different story. But that may just be because it's a 38. They're not half as dirty as if I was using a regular standard copper and lead projectile. And in a 38, well, it's a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter than a 357. When it sits in the cylinder, it's got more cylinder exposed to the burning of the powder,
right.
And it makes it a little bit harder to clean. I did notice that it was a little bit dirty, but not bad in the cylinder.
Now, when the glue round is going from the wheel into the barrel, is it pushing any crap out the side? You know what I mean? Now, sometimes, when you're firing a wheel gun, you get that blow out the sides in front of the wheel.
Right.
Are you seeing any ejector come out?
No, I'm not seeing any kind of shaving or anything like that. I've not found little bits of glue that had shaved off.
I would think that it would expand like crazy when it hits that, when that pressure hits it and goes to push it out of the case.
I don't think it's got enough time to expand to expand like crazy.
Well, plus you're not seating it like it's just getting squished in there by finger, right?
Yeah, it's just finger tight in there. You can actually pull them out if you really wanted to.
That's pretty ingenious. Who taught you how to do that? Did you just think of it?
I saw a guy on YouTube do it. I can take no credit for it.
That is pretty ingenious. That's a hell of a way to save some ammunition, save some money, and still get your little plinking fun in.
Yeah, it's something to do in the garage. I could make 20 rounds of that in about a half hour, and
nice.
It's just something to do in the garage. I would not go outside with it unless I had like a 9-foot security fence or something around that privacy fence.
Yeah, where they couldn't see you.
Right, because it would still be considered a firearm, and if you were in a jurisdiction where you cannot discharge a firearm, you'd still go to jail for that.
I've seen them pick kids up for paintball guns and stuff like that too, just because of that ordinance. Some county cops are really getting sticky about that. Supposed to be out in the backyard with a paintball gun and going at each other. And
I'm kind of torn on the subject of kids with toy guns. At some point, I almost think, I really think the parents need to step in. The parents shouldn't just indulge their child. And so your kid wants a toy AK-47. Well, that's great. I had a toy AK-47 when I was a youngster as well, and it looked like a toy. And now they don't look like toys anymore. They've got the same weight, the same features, the exact same profile as the real thing. I think maybe that's not a good idea for little kids to be playing with.
When I was a teenager in high school, there was a place in Rantoul called Slot and Wing Hobbies. And that guy, it was a little bitty hole-in-the-wall store, but he could get anything you wanted. And he had some really, really wicked shit on the shelves, right? He had a model M16, and I bought it. Now, this model, when it was put together, it had a steel barrel, it had a steel magazine that was actually Colt stamped, and when you put it together, it looked exactly like the real rifle. It even had a little tiny brass bullet that was, it was just a piece of brass. There was no primer pocket or nothing like that. It was just a piece of brass. But you could chamber it around just like a real gun. It was incredible. You could look down the barrel wasn't fouled. I'm sure it wasn't steel, it wouldn't take the pressure of a real round or anything, but it looked just like the real gun. No orange crap on it anywhere to signify that it was a toy, but this was back in the day too, right? 20, 30 years ago, so.
It was a different time, and the people weren't necessarily the big enemy like we see now.
Right. You gotta quit fiddling with your tablet, brother. It's really, really loud.
Sorry, was it making a noise? I'm sorry about that.
It's just really loud.
I figured out that my laptop was a lightweight. Couldn't even finish a half a beer.
Damn.
Yeah. Got a half a beer down and it was trashed. Ha!
That's not good. That's not good.
No, it was less than happy. It was a less than happy day.
They tend to make all kinds of noise and not run well after that.
It didn't make any noise. It just went to the blue screen of death, and then that was it.
Yeah. You're lucky it kept power. Usually they just go zzz, and then it's done. They don't react well to
it kept power for enough time for me to try and turn it over and drain all the beer out of it, which was not fast enough.
Yeah. No drinks near my machine. If I do, it's like it's in something that goes, the cap goes right back on it after I take a swig, you know, so everything's all nice and.
They don't make beer in sippy cups. I probably could have used one that night, but.
So what else is going on? You get a chance to go out and shoot this week?
I did. I got a chance to go out and shoot a little bit of 22. It was a nice little stress relief.
Barbecuing and stuff with the kin over the weekend?
No, nothing like that for me. I was fairly busy, but I did get a chance to go shoot and fired 100 rounds. I took the step, and people out there might laugh, but I used 2 boxes of my favorite CCI Stingers, and used them in an HK 5A522, which is a pretty nifty little toy. It looks exactly like an HK MP5, same controls, same weight, same everything, except for it's in 22.
Nice.
And, it was kind of fun. Fairly accurate for what almost appears to be a toy. Completely different than another rifle that's out there.
Now, is it internally suppressed like the new H&K MP5?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
That would be sweet, though.
It does have a fake can.
Oh, it does? Okay.
But the fake can is actually, it's actually an integral part of the rifle. You have to have it on to reassemble it. It's completely different than the GSG 22 that looks like an MP5. That is almost a water pistol compared. It really is. There's a world of difference in the two, even though they externally appear to be, twins. There's nothing between them switches out, and the construction methods are completely different. The HK comes apart like a real weapon. You pop out 2 pins and it flops apart.
Right.
And everything is real easy to get to. The GSG, you have to bust out the tools, and that's not real happy.
That's not conducive to good battlefield
It
maintenance.
really is. It really is. And thank God we're not at the point where we have to take crappy 22s to the battlefield.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Speaking of that, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When it comes to home defense, I know you've gone through this before on other shows, but I want to get your full lineup. Like if you were living in a home with a wife and a couple of kids, what kind of weapon would you choose versus if you were living in a home by yourself? And would there be a difference in why?
There would be a difference in if I was in a home by myself versus in a home with a wife and kids, and also where I was at. If I had a home by myself in the middle of nowhere, or a home with a family in the middle of Detroit. I think there's differences in what the situation would call for. If I was with a wife and a child in a city situation, whether it was an apartment or my own home, I would probably end up tending to go with a pistol. Just because it's going to be easier to transport and move around and easier use inside the confines of the home. If I had a place out with some land, we're using a shotgun.
Using a shotgun.
I would say a shotgun's the best way.
Now, do you stack your rounds? Do you slug, buck, or you know what I mean?
I would probably, for the shotgun that I keep by my door, and I'm more rural, I use double aught buck. It's just nothing but double aught buck in it.
Right.
If I was going to stagger, I would probably stagger double aught buck with number 4 shot. And number 4 shot is about the size. It's about the size of a BB.
Right, bird shot, small game shot.
It's a little bit more. It's commonly referred to as turkey shot.
Yeah.
But it's fairly devastating. It's 200 BB pellets, like the same 177 caliber pellets, And
nice. That would do some damage.
Yeah, it would do a lot of damage.
You fire a 3-inch shell, 2 3/4.
I usually fire the 2 3/4. Everything that I have that takes the 3 or 3.5 is good and locked up. It's not easily accessible.
Right.
It's just a plain old Mossberg Maverick 88. It's a tried and true design. It's not necessarily mil-spec tough, but I don't need mil-spec tough if I hear a thump in the garage in the middle of the night.
I got a Winchester 120. How long has it been since you've seen one of those?
It's been a while. I do like the Winchester 1200s and the 1300s, but the 120s is completely different.
Well, everything, the furniture and shit swaps out from a 1200 to this one. All the accessories that you can buy for a 1200 fit on this 120. It's just a precursor, but it's a pump, and when I got it, the first thing I did was hack the barrel down and, got it ready to go for moving around inside of small spaces. So, and it loads smooth, dude. It's as smooth as an 870.
I really like the 1200 and the 1300. I used to have a 1200 that was it was chromed, believe it or not. It had wood furniture, so wood stock and a wood foregrip on it, but the rest of it was chromed, and I mean like bumper chrome.
No kidding.
And it had rifle sights on it.
That would be a fingerprint nightmare gun.
It was not fun. I went through quite a bit of Windex with that shotgun.
And a white glove to go out and shoot it.
It was easy to clean. It had stainless internals with the chrome outside, but had to be kind of careful cleaning it because you didn't want to really
scuff it.
Not necessarily scuff it. It had spots where the chrome was coming up. I got the shotgun used, and I didn't want to help the chrome chip off it any further.
Oh, so it had been. It didn't come factory that way. So you took and had it chrome.
No. It had come from the factory that way. It was the Winchester 1200 Mariner. And it was designed to be used on a boat because, on a boat, I guess you need a lot of chrome. And it was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot of chrome. It was a serious amount of chrome. It was a.
Now, what are you going to use on a boat shotgun? Are you going to go out and skeet off the back of your yacht or something?
Well, if you're not going out for duck hunting or something, a shotgun's pretty handy. Some fish need shooting. I'm sorry, some of them just need it.
I gotta tell you a story of this, man. When I lived in Houston, Texas, I went out with a dude down to Galveston and went out on his boat. And we were out shark fishing. And there was probably about 10 other boats around where we were. And a guy brought a blue tip up in his boat. And when they got it in the boat, it was still flopping around. And this cat grabbed his .38 off the side of his hip and pumped 3 rounds into that fish while it was laying on the bottom of his boat. And they went straight through that fish and straight through his boat. And by the time they got the Coast Guard called, that thing was about 3/4 of the way underwater already.
I had this aluminum boat.
Stupid. I could not believe how, because we heard him pop it, pow, pow, pow. We're like, that boat, he just shot through the bottom of his boat. And then they started scrambling. And you could hear him calling on 16. Help me! Help me!
I'm not surprised, that being happening in Galveston. Galveston is not known for its massive influx of intelligence.
Yeah. Anyway, just a quick story. Sorry. Go ahead. Shotgunning off a boat. Have you ever gone duck hunting in a boat? I've never been standing in a boat shooting ducks.
Not on a boat. I've been to where I was in the water in a blind.
Right.
Waist deep, but not on a boat. That starts getting into some bucks. Mm-hmm. Just because you got to rent the boat, and and it usually comes with the guy who's going to drive the boat, and he doesn't go out there and do that cheap because he's your buddy or anything.
What'd you pay for that flashy firearm?
I think I paid $200 for that Winchester back when I got it.
Wow, that's cheap for a gun.
It was pimp. All it really needed was spinny rims on it. It was flashy.
Yeah, you could have gilded the furniture on it too, in chrome and gold.
Yeah, I just don't have that much style. I don't have that much style.
Well, you could always just go down to Wally World and grab yourself a couple cans of Krylon.
I'll tell you what, speaking of Wally World and gilded and chromed out pistols like that, I did see at a show I ended up going to, a guy had a whole bunch of the Cobra Derringers.
Quit fingering the mic, man.
Oh, sorry about that again. Cobra Derringers out of Utah, and he happened to have one of every color. And I mean every color. Pink, purple, blue, neon green, neon orange, neon yellow.
Just the furniture on them, or the metals?
The metal was anodized, or it looked. Honestly, some of them looked like it had a paint finish. Some of them looked like it had a tinted chrome finish. Nothing that looked like professional anodizing or anything. It was a really.
Well, no, you can Duracoat anything though, man. You can Duracoat the whole goddamn gun now.
Duracoating's nice. Actually, I have two candidates for Duracoating as soon as I can scrub the money together.
I seriously thought about Duracoating my SIG, brand new. You know, straight out of the box. I thought about throwing a coat on it and just changing the color up on it.
Do you have somebody locally that'll do it?
Shit, you can buy the kits for $55. Do it yourself. It's simple, simple. Well, as long as you know how to disassemble and reassemble your weapon.
Right. From what I understand, you have to have the right size oven for that, right?
No, you don't. Duracoat doesn't.
Duracoat is air
that's just it's just a spray on, and then you let it sit for a few. And I think there's certain chemicals that you can't have anywhere near the paint though, because it'll draw something out of the atmosphere, right? Like if there's certain kind of turpentine or something, if you're doing it in a paint shop, it has to be separate from all the other crap that you got. But, yeah, as long as you got low humidity and, I mean, they said you can just hang the shit up in your garage and do it.
Yeah, well, I'm not in low humidity. I think today we were 92% humidity, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you get in the garage and turn the AC on and go to town, right?
Garage with AC. My God.
Well, if you're going to Duracoat your weapon, you can just take the window unit out of the house for a couple of hours and throw it in the garage.
I think I'm going to Cerakote is what I'm going to do.
That's expensive.
It costs. It's about $150 per weapon, from what I'm finding. Yeah. But the finish is harder than concrete,
and it does scratch.
From what I understand, you have to seriously work at scratching it.
Well, that's true. I don't think you can get Cerakote in a bunch of different colors, though. Can you?
You can get Cerakote in almost any color, according to their website. I've seen it in everything from titanium white to blaze orange to... There's too many tactical colors out there, but I mean, it goes from a blue to a green to a gray to a tan to a black, right, and various shades in there. I really didn't know how many tactical shades of tan there were.
Lots. Desert, and then sandstone, and all kinds of slate. They got all kinds of different colors out there.
That just kind of to me almost reinforces the male Barbie aspect of some of these things.
That's exactly what it is, man. You got to be able to accessorize, right? We don't do purses and high heels and belts and shoes and all the other crap. So we accessorize our weapons. Well, and I guarantee you that Lori accessorizes her weapons to the nth degree. All women I bet she has a pair of pumps to go with one of her guns.
A friend of mine's wife is, she's particular about holsters.
Oh, yeah.
And she likes her concealed carry holster to match what she's wearing that day.
Yeah. Probably got little inserts and stuff,
She's got a wide selection of holsters, and I kind of laugh because if it's concealed carry, who's going to see your holster?
Special people.
Yeah, that's what it is. But hey, she gets out, and she uses them, and she carries, and that's really what counts,
Lori said wrong, so I guess I'm wrong. I took a stab. You know, I didn't know. Women are women, right? I figured all women were like that they got to get all fancy-fied and stuff. I figured she'd have some bling on one of her guns, right?
Hello Kitty stickers on their stock.
Well, no, just like take one of the 40s and bedazzle the grip or something.
Have you seen anybody doing their own stippling on polymer frame pistols?
Not yet.
That's pretty interesting. I've seen some really good jobs and some really, really horrible jobs.
You're talking about making the texture in the grip so you can get better grip on it?
That's right. And I've seen people doing it with wood burning kits from Home Depot or from Harbor Freight, either one. It's the cheap one. I think it's like an $11 kit. And they've been doing it. And some of them, these guys look like they've been doing it for 30 years. And some of these guys really have butchered things. But was
it something you try? I mean, like, are you talking about taking like a drill with a drill bit and just kind of like golf balling the thing? Is that what you mean by stippling?
But they're
cross hatches on it.
They're actually using a wood burning pen or a soldering pen.
A soldering pen.
Yeah, the little tip gets really hot,
and they're just melting a hole in their grip.
Right, and some of them look really, really good. You can see that these guys have put their time in, and some of them look like the guy.
Why wouldn't you use a drill? Why wouldn't you use a high-speed drill? Even a Dremel for that.
I think it would get out of it would get out of control.
Are they leaving? They're taking the grip off, obviously, right?
Well, like on a Glock, you can't. Right, you can disassemble the pistol, take the slide off, and the barrel out, but then you're left with the polymer frame.
Oh, that's true.
They're stippling. They're stippling the polymer frame. Some of them look really neat. Some of them look like crap.
I'll have to Google that. Homemade stippling.
Yeah, there's a couple of videos on YouTube on how to do it. Just like with any video on YouTube, you know, take it with a grain of salt.
Are you a fan of FPS Russia?
No.
You're not?
No, I'd like to drown him in a bucket of urine if I was given the opportunity.
Oh, seriously? Man.
I don't like that guy. I think everything he does puts a black mark on the firearms ownership community. I think
why, man? He's like the cartoon. You know, he's like the cartoon. That's not really Russian, right?
Oh, no, he's from Georgia.
He's from, South Kentucky. But, yeah, they're in Georgia now. That's where they're doing all their filming and stuff. But, yeah, he's from South Kentucky. He's funny as hell, dude. And he comes up with some really cool weapons. I mean, people send him stuff to fire on the show.
That's the interesting thing is how he comes up with a lot of the stuff. And,
he had an automatic Glock.
The guy died, but especially before his partner died under the mysterious circumstances.
Right.
He had some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he got that. You know, these aren't just class 3 weapons. Some of these are destructive devices.
Right.
And not that destructive device is all that uncommon, but to have some of the different ones that he had. I mean, he had mortars. He had flamethrowers.
I know.
I don't know how he got that stuff.
Evidently, somebody that worked with them was Class 3. You know, I saw some of those early videos, and all those early videos are gone off of YouTube now. They've all been taken down. If you can find, some people got them still on their servers, but they're very hard to find. I don't know what happened with that whole situation, but he was offline for almost a year. That was investigation.
The aftermath of the guy,
executed.
Yeah, they like to say it was a robbery, but nothing was taken, and he was just shot in the head.
Well, I think there was some stuff taken, but it was not weapons. It was not weapons and ammunition. There was some other stuff missing out of his office. So I don't know. I don't know. It just everything went away. You know, there was a little bit of information getting dripped and drabbed, and then everything went silent. And then all of a sudden, 9 months later, he's back on. And he's got some guy called Iraq Veteran 88 that's doing all of his videos now. Some totally different production.
Okay, the Iraqi veteran guy works at a pawn shop in Georgia as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had.
He's doing all of his videos now. He's doing all of his editing, cutting, and everything. That's his camera guy, is Iraq Vet 88. Or that's
fairly interesting. That's fairly interesting. That gives me even less reason to watch him.
Yeah. I watch him for some of the weapons because he had one out. He brought one out today where he had an automatic Glock 17, and it was badass. I mean, that thing.
So was it a real Glock 18? Because the fully automatic is called the Glock 18. But there have been people out there who've converted a 17.
It's the conversion. It's got the little button on the back of the slide. So it was a 17. He said it was a Glock 17 that had the full auto conversion.
Right. Yeah.
Put a little stock on it and shit. But I mean, even with his bare hand, I mean, without the stock on it, he put every one of those rounds on target at 50 feet. It's amazing the control that you can get over an automatic pistol. Because he's not a very big dude. You know? No,
he's not. I'd like to know what kind of ammunition he was using.
That he doesn't say. See, he doesn't go into like Hickok 45 does all that. He tells you what kind of rounds he's using, how many grains they are, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't. That's the one thing I don't like about FPS Russia, is that he doesn't go into the ballistics of the weapon, you know, of the rounds that he's using and what distance he's firing at. I mean, you got to kind of guesstimate all that shit.
He doesn't give good information. He just gives plenty of eye candy.
Yeah, that's what he is. That's why I say he's like the cartoon of the industry. I just think he's fun to watch because he's funny. I think he's funny.
I think he's done. I think he's done harm to the industry, and I think he's done harm to our individual rights.
But he's not the only jackass out there blowing tannerite up on the side of a hill. You know
no, he's not. I will agree he's not the only one, but he seems to be the one who made it really, really popular.
And look at some of the videos that Funker 530 put out when he was over in Iraq, and now that he's back home, he started his old gun show type of thing on there too. It's just, I mean, you know, join the crowd, for Christ's sake. Everybody's doing it.
A lot of the stuff on YouTube gets to be old. You know, how many times do you want to see a Glock torture test? Yeah, we know it fires if you drop it in a bucket of water. Yeah, we know it fires if you drop it in a bucket of sand. Yes, we know it fires if you pull it up from underneath mud. There's only so many ways you can actually torture it, and some of these torture tests really aren't all that innovative. It's just, to me, it seems like it's just kind of like spoiled kids who want to destroy something that's perfectly functional.
Right. Because they got enough money, they can go buy another one.
Right. I mean, I don't care if this is an old Glock or whatever. You know, it's a first-generation Model 17. That doesn't mean you get to tie it to a bumper of a truck and take it up and down the highway and see, you know, how much damage you can inflict to it and it'll still work. I think that's just that's on the order of throwing food away in front of the starving Somalians.
Right.
I don't agree with that. I think a lot of the torture tests also promote unsafe handling.
That's true. That's true. A lot of the stuff that you saw on TV, like I can't think of the name of the show now, but they had one on Discovery Channel. Some cat down in Louisiana, Red Jacket or whatever the hell it was.
Oh yeah, those Red Jacket, right. Red Jacket.
He had his little bitch boy, you know, jumping in lakes and shit with his AKs and popping up out of the water and firing them, you know, when they're full of water and shit to show people that they can be done. And this, I mean, okay. If you think that's necessary to prove that your firearm is capable of launching a round out of it, then, you know, whatever. It was all for show.
I think a lot of it is for show, and a lot of it is manufactured drama, just like we see in any of those shows. I mean, it's like, you know, you could take what are they, the duck people, and the manufactured drama that goes with them. Like seriously, you're going to be really surprised that like 4 dudes from Louisiana with like beards down to their nuts and a wardrobe that consists of every flavor of camo really aren't happy with homosexuals. That's surprising.
Right.
This is something that's world, you know, earth-shattering and stop the presses.
And how many times do you really think they're going to let that cat run out on his property with dynamite and blow up shit? You know, I don't think the state really, that was all for TV. He's not out there blowing beaver dams every other day. That doesn't happen. You got to have a license to go set that shit off. I don't care if it's on your property or not. If you're setting off explosives, you have to have a license to do that shit.
I'll tell you, in certain areas, if you set off more than 2 pounds of tannerite at one point,
you're going to have a sheriff up your ass.
You'll have a sheriff or a helicopter on you.
Yeah.
And I happen to know this because somebody called one on us, and we weren't even using that much. We were blowing up 1 pound at a time in a fairly safe manner in a pit, and people could hear it, and people were scared, and we took off, and
it's Al Qaeda. Holy shit, it's Al Qaeda.
Yeah, that's what they, you boys hear any of that kind of boom? Yeah, we heard that. I have no idea where it's at. Please don't look for those itty bitty bits of bright orange plastic all over the place.
Or that great big smoke signature in the air that's still hanging about 600 feet above your head.
Have you had the chance to blow any of it off?
No, I've seen guys around here do it though, and through these hills it echoes like a son of a bitch.
I bet you it does. I've blown some off and been in the path of the cloud that after it blows up, and it smells like a pool.
It smells like a pool?
It smells like a pool.
Like chlorine.
It smells like chlorine water.
Wow.
It's not overpowering. It doesn't, your throat's not burning. You're like, I just smell a pool.
Chlorine gas killed a lot of people back in World War II, man.
Yeah, that it did.
Just be careful.
I don't know if it actually.
I'd read that package and see what it turns into when it explodes. It might.
It's supposedly it's an oxygen robber. It doesn't promote any sort of oxidization.
I gotcha.
So, hey, we're running up on time.
Yeah, we got about 3 minutes left. You got any? I kind of got you off on some rabbit holes, man, and took over.
That'll work. I just want to make sure that I hit the 4 rules of gun safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember that every firearm is loaded until you verify it. You have to physically check and inspect that weapon to make sure that it is not loaded. Until then, it is loaded. Number 2, be aware of where that muzzle goes. Don't sweep anybody. Don't point it at anything you don't intend to destroy or kill. Number 3, know what your target is. Know what is beyond your target. Know what happens if you miss. You can't bring that bullet back once you fire it. And the 4th rule, and the rule I firmly believe in, is, ladies and gentlemen, please keep your booger hook off the bank switch. The finger does not go immediately to the trigger. Keep your finger out of the trigger guard.
Until you're ready to launch that round.
That's right. There are no accidental discharges. They are all negligent discharges. It doesn't go off. Just keep your finger off the trigger because you're the one that pulls it.
The only time I've ever seen an accidental discharge was on a hot barrel. I've seen a hot barrel misfire around before.
And it took off
on a 60, on an M60. Yeah,
that'll happen. But you've got safety measures in place,
right?
When that happens. And
I've also seen some guys put some guns back together, and when they went to drop when they went to chamber the round, when the chamber fell down, it fired. I mean,
right. Some of the old SKSs could do that.
Yep.
If you put the firing pin in backwards, it would protrude just a hair, and when you went to slam it, it would when you went to slam the bolt forward, it would actually puncture your case, and you would end up with a slam fire, which is all 20 or 10 or 30, however many you had in your SKS. They all just took off. And usually the 30-round SKS, I'm just not a fan of those.
No?
I'm not a fan of anything that's not original on an SKS, but that's my own personal problem.
Now, you're not talking about like my Norinco.
No, you can doctor a Norinco as much as you want.
No, but I'm talking about when you're talking about an SKS, because this Norinco's 10 rounds, that's it. Unless you take it apart and do some changing with the gun and put some piece of shit magazine in it.
I think you should keep that boy at 10. Oh, that's it.
Sorry about that, man.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
Appreciate you, Mike.
All right, thank you very much. This is where I got to see lost, people. Thank you very much.
Stay tuned for Clever Chicks After Dark. She's up next.